We live in a fast-paced and hectic world where it's easy to feel overwhelmed, stressed, and out of control. How do you manage all the competing pressures without losing sense of yourself? How do you stay focused enough to not only plot a path, but follow it? Welcome to Master Your Life, a show that offers inspiration, insight, and intelligence, as well as success stories from many walks of life that can show you how you can control your own destiny. Our knowledgeable and entertaining host and her guests give practical advice that you can use every day in the quest to master your life. Now, here's your host, Leaha Mattinson.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of Master Your Life. I'm so happy to have each and every one of you tuning in from wherever it is that you are on this beautiful planet. Give yourselves a pat on the back, literally, for being here for this episode, which is rich with content about how you can ameliorate or lessen the severity of the symptoms of COVID. Yes, that's what we're weighing in on. So it's very, very serious sort of episode today, as serious as we get on this. And I'm joined by my beautiful friend and master herbologist, Erika Ramelli. Erika, how are you today?
Hello, dear sister. I am so excited for the episode today because we get to talk about how some of these beautiful herbs and remedies can support a person or a family's journey into recovery.
Beautiful. And we're going to jump right in off that springboard because Erika, your family actually went through this very, very recently. Can you maybe just share with the audience what happened? What were your symptoms? You know, all that good, juicy stuff.
The good, juicy stuff. Yeah, straight from the back. Okay, let's go.
Straight in.
So I had some family visiting from South America. I have a sister that lives in Colombia and my nephews came to visit. We were looking forward to having a wonderful New Year's, and we did because we were together, but we were also visited by good old COVID and who tagged along for the vacay. And that was a little complicated in the sense that everyone showed symptoms that were maybe a little different. And we experienced in our bodies, not just physically, but also emotionally, different aspects of what the impact of this little virus does. Mm-hmm. So today I thought it would be pretty neat to team up with you and share how we coped with this. And especially here, because I'm a master herbalist. Like right. I do natural medicine for a living. I'm a medicine woman. I believe in plants. And thankfully, this whole thing happened here because I have over 1,500 different roots, seeds, powders, mushrooms. So I have all of my tools here, and that is exactly what I want to share with you. And I'm not telling you, please go get yourself a whole herbal lab. I want to keep it super simple, and I want to give tips with herbs and things that would be available to most household. And if you don't have these, then they're very simple to get. And I would recommend that maybe you have some of these on stock at home because these plants have an amazing antiviral, anti-inflammatory properties that will be quite beneficial for this. So the experience started with a little fatigue. Mm-hmm. And I want to talk about that today because your body is so beautiful. Your body is constantly talking to you. And this is part of what you and I have talked about so many times. How do you tune in to understanding what your cells are trying to communicate? And your body begins to tell you, hey, I am maybe not as well, as vital, as vibrant as normally I would be. And some of these tips that we're going to discuss today are applicable, not just if you have COVID, but just in general. How do you listen to the body and begin to give your cells what they might need in order to be happy and strong and ready to fight, right? How do you give ammo to your immune system? Mm-hmm. So it started with a little fatigue, loss of appetite. And I also want to point out that every human body is different. And therefore, there is not one size fits all. It's important that you know you do you. And with that in mind, notice when there's variations in your schedule or in your sleep patterns or sweat or the amount of saliva that you have in your mouth. Is there dehydration, dryness, and whatnot? Yep. So it started like that. We all kind of changed a little bit our cravings. Lots of berries were craved in the house. Suddenly everyone wanted raspberries and pomegranate and blueberries, just fresh, crisp foods that are high in antioxidants. We wanted salad, we wanted broth. So there's a beautiful Vietnamese recipe called pho, and it is a brothy soup with noodles, and that is what people were craving here. So that is what we were feeding everyone. But just the traditional chicken soup and things like that are just very nurturing to the body. Then we ended up with a day of full body aches. What?
Right.
That is such a crazy sensation. Every part of your body hurts at the same time. That was just mind blowing to me, especially because I'm a healthy gal. I do all these things for a living, and suddenly to be just one day just down going, I don't know, like everything is firing at the same time. That was quite an experience. So what I did is to focus on anti-inflammatory plants and magnesium. So magnesium supplement, which we'll talk a little further down the show on the what to do. But so I focused on anti-inflammatories, golden milk, things like that, and definitely boosting antiviral infusions, the amount I was taking, so that my body would have enough ammo to fight whatever it was fighting. We also experienced night sweats and a little fever and chest congestion. So with that, we did a lot of face steams over the stove with some amazing plants that will really go up into the nasal cavity and into your eye sockets and into the skin. Open your mouth and really take in that beautiful steam, so that the antiviral properties and the medicinal properties of these plants really can help your own body fight whatever is hiding back there. So
yes, let's talk about that for a minute, the antiviral thing, because again, viruses and bacteria, I think, is what people really need to understand, is that you can control a lot of what goes on in your body by tending to it either prior to having symptoms or right when they start. So the more prepared that you are to be able to do that, the better. Here in my house, we've got a wide age range of people, but some people were noticing some lung stuff, a little bit of lung, not feeling quite right, but not necessarily related to COVID, who knows? But getting ahead of the game, going out and getting things like, a nebulizer, so that you're doing exactly that process with some nice black seed oil and some little bit of garlic oil, which might sound a little bit freaky, but, and then a few other little medicinal remedy things in that, so that you're taking care of your health before it gets out of hand. And everybody can do that at every age range. So from little ones to old people. So this just isn't for the 40-something-year-olds or the 50 or something year olds. This is for the little ones, and for the 30-year-olds, and for the 70-year-olds, and the 80-year-olds. So no matter what your age range, I want you to either think about the symptoms you've got in your body or may have had, or your family members as well, because this is a very tricky thing to not only deal with your own illnesses, no matter what they are, COVID or anything else, and then to help the people who are in your family to be well as well. Because what you're trying to do is clean up the environment too when viruses are going through. So for everybody to be well is the goal. I mean, if you live by yourself, that's, you're only dealing with yourself. But when you have lots of people in your environment, that's a lot of things to manage. So count on each other to help to figure these things out. So sorry to interrupt there, Erika, but I just wanted getting people just thinking about, this is me being unwell, and also all these other people. How do I help them?
Such an important note here. And here we had a 4-year-old all the way to senior family. So we had literally, like you said, the entire array of individuals in the house. Now, obviously, there's strength difference in the amount of teas or supplements or vitamin C's and things like that we gave the adults versus the 4-year-old. Please keep in mind that a 4-year-old is not supposed to be eating a lot of synthetic vitamins, right? So lab-made vitamins, they're too strong. The body is not ready to break them down. So all of those gummies and all of those things that are just kind of over the counter, I personally, in my field, would not recommend a lot of those. So we'll talk about kind of the categories. So guys, if you're listening, this is a good time to maybe grab a pencil and a paper. We'll be sharing a lot of amazing herbal knowledge that you can go ahead and put into practice immediately. And like Leah said, not just because of this particular COVID situation, but this is just leading to us having a discussion about things that you can have in your home to keep you happy and healthy. So we're going to talk about hepatic and tonic herbs, adaptogenic herbs, anti-inflammatory herbs. There's some that are antiviral. So I'm really going to do that Mike Tyson punch that you need. So there's different purposes, and you need to put them together in a way that would be balanced and healthy for you. So we want to focus on a lot of the adaptogenic plants. So an adaptogenic plant is, let's think of them as the fix-it-all. I want to keep it as simple as possible. This is not a biology lesson, but the fix-it-all. There are these plants that once they enter your body, will mostly not do any damage, would actually help you regulate whatever processes, hormones, substances that are out of balance, and will help tune in by increasing the production of one or many, or reducing the production of one or many. So typical adaptogenic plants are cacao, so what we know as a raw material for chocolate, which is one of my favorites. And in this particular case, awesome, because it is packed with magnesium. And magnesium relaxes your muscles. So it really helps soothe a lot of those cramps and a lot of those body aches that you might be experiencing. So anything that has a high magnesium content in general will be very soothing to your muscles and the nervine system. Reishi and all of the medicinal mushrooms, I love them. I mean, these are my buddies. We're talking about reishi, chaga, cordyceps, turkey tail, lion's mane, all of those amazing, beautiful healing mushrooms that have been around for millennia in all of the Chinese medicine traditions, the Ayurveda, and then our Native Americans in America, South and North America. So these are beautiful mushrooms. They're grind into powders. Normally, they're a dual extract. They're rich in polysaccharides. And if you get a really good supplier, then you can dissolve them in warm water and you make a mushroom tea. So I really recommend any of those.
Yeah, it's wonderful. And there's so many people that are getting into foraging also. So there's lots of really good research about what kind of mushrooms grow in your area, how to learn what's poisonous and not. So you can become your own explorer. If you can go all the way from buying something really simple that's already made for you on the shelf, or you can actually become more of your own herbologist by diving into these things. So back to your story though, Erika, we sort of left off and I interrupted when you were talking about your body aches everywhere. So what happened next in your, it's like, oh, I didn't want to go back there, but we're going back there. Because this is a really thing is people go, well, what are the symptoms? What are your symptoms? And people are very confused about that. It's like, does it look like this? Does it look like that? And I think that from my frame of reference, that it looks like lots and lots of things. So this is, again, going back to the initial point of pay attention to what's going on in your body, no matter what it's labeled, try to get yourself well. So let's go back to your family and their story and their journey with this, Erika.
So we had overall a very positive attitude. And that I want to point out is key.
Yes.
Because in this household, there is no fear. We leave no room for fear. When we enter that self-pity and that wondering, oh gosh, and it's a borderline, almost embarrassing thing to talk about, because we've kind of right now said, oh, I have COVID, and you just kind of lower your, you just don't want a lot of people to know. And so I want to acknowledge that there's also an emotional component to this of maybe shame, a little guilt, tiredness. So now you feel guilty because you don't feel like working or doing the tasks that you had agenda in your agenda for the day. So I want to just acknowledge that we had a very positive attitude, and that is key in your recovery. Our entire journey through this lasted about 4 days. And every day was different. Every day it was like a part of my body was playing tag you're it.
Right.
And tag you're it. And this thing just kept on moving and rotating. And it was just actually a very interesting thing to wake up, or even within a few hours, like, okay, my body is tired, I have a lot of fatigue, and I have body aches. And then that just gently kind of faded away. And then I had a fever for 3 hours. And so, okay, how do we address that? And then that faded away. And then I had a sore throat. And it was just like, tag you're it, now the throat. And that's where the steams come into play. That literally just changed my day. I had some sage from the garden.
Yeah, just show it. Can you show it? You can show it.
Yes.
Everyone, you need to tune in. If you're listening to this on the podcast, awesome. Thank you so much. But also come to masteryourlife.ca or the YouTube channel so that you can actually see all this wonderful stuff, because this, looks like a, gardening aficionado here. She's got a beautiful, great big, beautiful sheath of sage. It's massive. It's massive. Yes.
So I brought some things to show you. And yes, if you're listening, please tune in to the video version of this so that you can see these beautiful herbs. So sore throat, honey, lemon, careful with lemon because it's going to sting a little bit, but it's actually alkaline forming. So it's beautiful for the body. So honey, lemon, really coating your throat with it. And then doing steams on the stove. So you heat up water, and then you add your herbs to it. Please, 2 things super important here. 1, you want to cover it, because with heat, a lot of the beautiful medicinal oils would evaporate. So you want to cover it to kind of keep those medicinal compounds in the pot. And you also do not want to boil these herbs. High temperatures will break the medicinal molecular compounds. So you want to keep it below boiling point and just kind of gently steep the herbs there. You turn the fire off or your stove off, add a beautiful big giant gas stove. And then once it's cooled off just a few degrees, then you lift, as I'm showing you right now, you gently lift the pot, and being careful not to just burn your face because the steam might be hot. So just kind of test with your hand, and then gently bring your face over it. You can also do just the traditional kind of tent over your head with a kitchen towel to really allow that beautiful steam and all the medicinal properties to just go into your body. I would recommend that you do it with your mouth open. And as you inhale that steam, really allow the antiviral compounds to go all the way to the back. So that to me was super soothing. Very moisturizing. Please stay hydrated also. Drink lots of water, lots of infusions. That was great. Now, what do you put in that particular pot? Oregano, sage, star anise, cinnamon, some of the mint, onion, garlic. Those are antiseptic plants. This is not something you're going to drink. You could, but I would recommend that you make it really strong. So don't be so concerned about how this is going to taste. No point in caring about that. This you're really doing just face steams. So onion, garlic, just throw all these beautiful friends in there and get the steam going.
I'm thinking from an inhaling thing, Erika, just when people have physiological problems. And so when they're actually trying to lean over and inhale stuff, if somebody's got a back issue, or lots of people have back problems and have a hard time leaning their face over anything. So one of the things I would encourage people to do is to get it on a table or somewhere where it's low enough that you can actually bend over from the waist and not from your diaphragm, because then you shut off your breathing. And so when you're able to bend over from those hip flexors, you can actually get your whole sort of face over without the backache, because that's also what prevents people from doing some of these things. They go, oh, it's too hard on my back. So just try to get yourself jimmied around so that you can actually get into a position where it's comfortable. Because how long would you say, Erika, I mean, carry on with the instructions, and how long also would this be a good thing to do it for?
I left it on the stove for 2 days.
Okay.
So it's really cool because once you make it, and it could just stay there. These are antibacterial, antiviral plants. So you can leave it 2 days on the stove, not on, but you heat it up, you use it over a period of 30 minutes. You keep on coming back to it. Then you heat it back up a bit. You keep on doing that, and you do that multiple times a day. So let it cool off. You go about your day. You're wrapped in your blanket. You're watching a movie. I found it very difficult to read. People think like, oh, I'm going to be on the couch productive. No, my brain was not part of that deal at all. My brain was like, we are busy doing other things, and you can watch a happy movie, and that's all we're going to share with you today. So yeah. So you leave it there overnight. So the next day will be actually really concentrated. And to your point of bending over, another thing that you could do is heat it up, put it in a cup or a nice bowl, and then you can bring that towards your face. And again, don't drink it just because you're making a very concentrated antiviral steam mixture. Okay, so that was the throat aspect. And then that lasted a day. And then what lingered on the longest was just this little fatigue and kind of pressure on my chest. That kind of was interesting because the heavy symptoms, let's say, just lasted 3, maybe 4 days. And then after that, I had just this kind of lingering fatigue. So essential oils were fantastic for that. Great essential oils rubbed on the chest and on the back, over the lungs, to really support the breathing aspects and help with congestion, help break a lot of the potential phlegm that was forming. And then here I have ozone. And that, girlfriends, is my secret weapon.
Do tell.
So I have an ozone generator, and they are fantastic because you take oxygen and you run it through the generator. So you take O2, run it through the generator. Now you're producing O3. So it's a very unstable molecule of oxygen. So it's 3 atoms of oxygen clumped together to make O3. And you do an ear insufflation, or through the nostrils, you can do sinus insufflation. So for a few seconds on each nostril, do not breathe this, okay? Your lungs are not prepared to break down O3. They're prepared to break down O2, but not O3. So what we want is that it crosses the barrier through skin into the capillary system, bypassing the lungs, okay? So that's what we're going for. So it enters through your ears or a few seconds through your nostrils, and it goes immediately up your sinus cavity and clears a lot of that yuckiness that's hiding back there. So ozone kills viruses on contact, and I loved that treatment. We did it for the little one who's 4 years old, and we did just a minute and a half through his ears. And then for us adults, we did 3.5 minutes, 4 minutes, and we did about 10 seconds on each nostril. So that was amazing to help kind of clear and kill whatever was in there, whoever was in there.
So a couple of things I just want to pick up on. One is the essential oil thing. Essential oils, and when you're rubbing that on, think about actually, if you live by yourself, do it anyway. Do it for yourself. But if you have other people you live with, again, this is also an opportunity for that human contact. And that human contact is so healing that when you're actually take the time to apply that balm or salve or essential oil to whoever it is, their chest, their back. I know when my father was, really entering the advanced stages of his Huntington's disease, that one of the things that really he appreciated were people touching him, because a lot of times people don't get touched, so the hugging, the caressing, the touching, the care that actually can be available for you to express towards another person and to accept from other people also is a gift of any kind of illness. So take a moment to actually do that for each other. Caressing, touching, healing each other. Healing hands are a real thing. That's for real. And you can prove that to yourself through your own science experimentation by doing these things. So that was the one little point. Then the second thing I want to talk about is that people really think they need to kill off every virus and bacteria in their body. So this is a problem because we're made up of them. So maybe we should just take a moment to say, a little bit about that, because you're not ever going to get rid of every virus and every bacteria. This is why it's important to know your own body and to know, when you're not feeling well, when you are feeling well. But the truth is we're made up of a bunch of viruses and bacteria. So you're just not going to get away from it. And that's part of our own upgrading. Our system all the time is upgrading. So if you're a self-healer and healing well, then you are always upgrading, because these viruses are coming in and the bacteria is coming in and the challenges are happening, and your body is able to upregulate through those things. So that's why when people are talking about now a natural immunity, it's because you've been through COVID, but we've all had, for the last 2 years, your natural immunity hasn't stopped. You've continued to be, whether you've had a test for something or not. And even sometimes if you've had a virus, you won't even have known that you have it, because you just haven't had any symptoms that are apparent to you. So all of these things need to be taken into consideration as well. Do you have anything to say about this whole that piece? If you can keep it brief, but I do want people to be realistic about they're not going to wipe out everything, because we wouldn't even be existing if that was the case.
No, thank you for bringing that up. It is super important for people to understand that we are hosts to a lot of little other beings and microorganisms within our body. I call it, I'm the landlord of this building. And as long as the tenants don't cause any trouble, I don't have a problem with them being in my building. So that's important. We do need to boost up probiotics, for example. Those are beautiful bacteria that are going to help regulate your gut. And as your body is killing whatever is there, we're going to need to throw out the trash. So it is normal that maybe your body will be sweating a little more, because your body is trying to flush whatever is no longer needed, or whatever was killed, or whatever substances are in there. And especially if you're also taking pharma, then there's chemicals with that would also need to be purged. So I want to address the need to increase your probiotics with that, and to help your gut, to support your liver and your kidneys in flushing. So there's herbs like dandelion, like 𝑸𝒌𝒻𝙩, that are great at flushing. Hibiscus for the blood. Oh, and I brought also for you guys to show you, this is chlorophyll. So chlorophyll is amazing because it's the compound that makes plants green. Mm-hmm. Please be careful. This is green. It is green, and it will literally stain
you everywhere.
Yes, for millennia. This is what has been used to dye textiles. Okay, so So you take a few drops of it. One of the things that I did is take advantage of the fact that I had to drink water and make sure that I boosted my water with everything I could. It had magnesium in it. It had black seeds, kalonji, if you've heard of them, chlorophyll, infusions. So really take advantage of the fact that you're having fluids and really boost it up. So if you're looking right now at the video, so you add the drops to the water, and it makes your water green. Great for the body and improving purification of your blood, oxygenation, red blood cells. So to your point, that what we want is not to kill viruses, bacteria, and so on. What we want is to keep the tenants in the building regulated.
There you go. Exactly. Those rascals.
It's okay if you want to live here, just keep it hush. I want to hear you. I want to know you're there.
Just yes, exactly. But it's important to know though, because I think people think that they need to live in bubble wrap, and we're so afraid of everything. But honestly, I was so glad to grow up on a farm, be born on a farm, because that was just regular. It was, in fact, if you didn't have several things throughout the year, there was something wrong with you, and your friends would all get together, the moms would all get together and say, okay, it's time for everybody to have whatever the thing was, the seasonal thing. So we're going to get together and have a play date. And then you would have whatever it is, like chickenpox was a prime example, and those kinds of things, right? So everyone got together and it was like, all right, so now we've all had it and now we're all immune to it. But yeah, so everyone, I've been surprised at the amount of fear that people have of this virus. So it pays to do some research and to find out what the stats are and the data is in the real world, though that's important for your age group. And maybe if you have pre-existing conditions, what are the things that you can do to make sure that you are as healthy as possible and that you're taking care of your health and well-being. And part of that is creating a really great biology of your own. So your own system is really biologically well, and that your skin is great. It's important that not letting things into your biome too, right? So by having, not a bunch of cuts or bruises or scraping or letting people, poke things in you or whatever, that you've actually got your skin is covering you, and you're protecting yourself through having good health. I love the story though about the symptoms, because I think that's important for people to also go, the symptoms don't have to last all day, but sometimes they do. They don't have to last 5 weeks, but sometimes they do. Just like in Huntington's disease, we talk about lessening symptoms. We talk about that once you've got a symptom for something doesn't mean that you have it forever. What are the things that you can do to ameliorate it? Like, can you get rid of it completely? Or is it stuff that you can just dial back on some of your lifestyle stuff so that you can see that the severity of the onset is changed? Because even if you can change a couple of things, that can change your experience of your life, especially if you're 4 years old. 4 years at 4 and 40, there's lots of crying happens when people are sick. I'm so sick, and and so but learning these coping things is, well, how long are you actually sick for? Because people will give an entire day away to an illness or a week or whatever when they're not actually sick for that long. So they get caught in the psychology of the symptom versus the reality of, okay, what's really actually going on
listening to the body. Yes. And that is important. So that's why today I wanted to give kind of some tips specifically to speaking about supporting a particular symptom.
Yes.
And this could be applicable to you if you have COVID, or if you have any other thing that might just be seasonal, that might just be because you were singing too loud at a concert and you lost your voice. And not that I've ever been there, but a friend told me, right? So I want to speak about maybe just a mini shopping list that it would be really cool for you guys to have on hand. And feel free to reach me on social media or ask questions. Obviously, we are available. There's a link to masteryourlife.com .ca. So we're reachable. If you have any questions, just ask. So let's talk about food, because the 4-year-old did not want to eat a lot of things, and he didn't have a lot of symptoms. He was happy. He was playing. He was doing his thing, but he wanted fruits. And so it's very important that adults also do not push certain disempowering or not helpful foods, beverages on the kids if they're not feeling like that's what they want. Now, if what they want is not so healthy, then yes, by all means. But if the child is naturally gravitating towards fruits and things that would actually be packed with antioxidants, hey, by all means. So alfalfa, for example, is a great food to have because it has all 22 amino acids, so it really helps your body. Drinking coconut water packed with potassium, amazing, super hydrating. If you live in cold weathers, you probably have a raspberry plant outside. Raspberry, the root, the leaf, the fruit is edible. It is super medicinal. Red clovers, great for the respiratory system. Lettuce, wild lettuce, yams, they're also great in helping the body, just being nurtured, nourished. They help relax. They help the nervous system. Let's talk about oregano. So oregano is a plant that every home should have planted outside, period, or inside if the weather is not conducive. But oregano is just a powerful antiseptic, antiviral, antifungal, antibacterial, really helpful plant that you can drink, that you can cook with, that you can make salves with, balms, whatever it is. Star anise.
Ooh, I love star anise. I love oregano too. Just say I love it, but I love star anise. Actually, they're so beautiful.
They are beautiful, and they're these little spice in the shape of a star. They were one of my best friends during this whole recovery journey. And you add 3 or 4 to hot water and make infusion with star anise. It is beautiful, beautiful to boost your immune system in general. It's an antioxidant. It helps fight. It helps regulate blood sugars, reduce cholesterol. I mean, tons of amazing benefits. So if you can have a bag of star anise at home, please do that.
One of the things we did with star anise over the holidays, Erica, is we used it in bone broth. So we make traditional turkey soup all the time. We make lots of bone broth soups, but we made this new recipe that had star anise in it. It was so delicious, so delicious. So get experimental with your things as well.
Yes.
Like be playful. You can make some very good healing remedies that are outside the cup, so to speak.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Other things. Oh, turmeric. I mean, hello, turmeric. Golden milk and adding turmeric to your food, even if you're making eggs. Like I add turmeric to my eggs. Yeah, they're bright yellow. Who cares? Or to my rice.
Proper eggs should be bright yellow anyway, shouldn't they?
Yeah. So the whole idea is that you begin to really add some of these plants to your days. And I would recommend that you do this every so often. So if you have not started with any of this, make it a day out of the week. Maybe it's Mondays, maybe it's Fridays, maybe it's Sundays, where you make it a point in your agenda to have an infusion with a new plant or cook with a new herb, a new spice, and begin to consciously add that to your diet 1 day a week. And then if you like it, see if you could do it again. But drinking hot chocolate, making sure that your beverages are already packed with nutritional value is key. So we talked today about chlorophyll. We talked about juicing, so roots, beet juice, pomegranate, celery, all of those green juices that really give your body medicinal benefits. Hydrating with water that maybe has kalonji seeds in them. So the kalonji seeds are considered part of the black seed. You talked about black seed oil. Okay, this is black seed. So these are the black seeds. They are from the family of cumin or fennel. And you add a teaspoon of these kalonji seeds to your water like that, like so. Stir it, let it sit for a little bit. so that the seeds hydrate and they also share their properties with the water. And then you drink this. Amazing. It's also really cool as a fat burner in case now you want to begin shedding the winter weight. Drink kalonji water, black seed water.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So we've got some home remedies now that people can dive into. One thing I do agree with you is really important is getting one day of the week committed to yourself to do these things, because that's the only way that you make a change in anything in the world, as we know. So again, going back to the journaling where we say, write this stuff down, commit to yourself right now, a day or a time that you could actually do it. If it's not for a whole day, can you do one meal? Can you do a breakfast that has something in it? Like dial it back to something that is reasonable for you, and then go from there, springboard out from there. We've got about 6.5 minutes left, Erika. I want to talk with you about the actual cacao recipe for how to make your own cacao drink. And then we'll parcel that out. So, and the reason I want to dial in on this right now is because I think a lot of people, because it's virus season, right now is virus season. And we're also coming up with, these big love holidays like Valentine's Day. I say every Monday should be a love holiday, not just one day a month.
Yes.
So whatever is your love holiday, this is would be a good thing for you to know and to just actually become an expert in making this for yourself, because it's so empowering, it's sacred, it's healing, and who doesn't deserve that in 2022? Right?
Well, you've probably heard my accent, so let's get that out of the way. I have an accent because I grew up in Switzerland. My mom is from Colombia. I lived in Colombia. I was born in Colombia. And therefore, I bring a lot of these amazing, beautiful, powerful native recipes to my life. And cacao, the raw ingredient of chocolate, is very famous in the tropical areas of the world. So South America, Central South America, Africa, like areas of Madagascar and such. So let's talk a little bit about this beautiful plant. Chocolate is made with cacao. Cacao is a fruit that grows on trees and has seeds, and those seeds are the ones that get processed. You probably see them and you can get them in nibs. You can get them in ground powder, or you can get the cacao solid liqueur pressed organic. We have, and I work with sacred pressed liqueur. So there's really nothing that was done to it. It's just a very bitter 100% cacao substance. So you would take about 10 grams or so, gently melt them on the stove with warm water below boiling point. Every time I say something, please consider below boiling point. Once it's too hot, medicinal compounds break, okay? So you gently melt it, add the water to it, add the sweetener of choice, maybe some cloves, nutmeg, cinnamon, spices. We're talking about these beautiful medicinal spices, whatever kind of suits your palate. And then you would finish with about an ounce or so of milk of choice if you want it a little more creamy. So if you want to make just a drinkable hot chocolate, we're now in cold weathers, and maybe you want to serve it to the family. You want to keep it about 10 grams per person, and you can raise the amount of fluid from 6 ounces to maybe 12. So you adjust it if you want it less strong, if you want it stronger, more, less fluid, more, less water, more, less milk. Cool. Beautiful. There's now a different way of this. And if you want to use cacao with a more medicinal punch or with a sacred ceremonial intention, then you can increase the dosage that you will take and you decrease the amount of fluid in it. So you're making a thicker, almost espresso-like beverage, and you drink it slowly, mindfully, and with an intention. So you're really activating channels of energy flowing through the body. You're activating your chakras, you're grounding. So you're grounding and you're opening your crown center. As you drink this, you're connecting with the environment you're in and you're setting your intention. You're going to feel a very uplifting and invigorating effect physically on the body. And you're going to notice your spirit kind of entering a state of calmness. So what's beautiful with adaptogenic plants in general is that they stimulate your physical body, they give a lot of vitality and energy, but they soothe your spirit. So reishi mushrooms do that beautifully as well. And you can add that to the cacao. Another thing that I love to do, actually, before I go into that, if you're making a cacao for ceremonial purposes, then 20 to 40 grams is what I would recommend for an adult that has worked with cacao before. Please do not consume more than 50 or 60 grams of cacao in one day. It is too much for the body. It is too stimulating. And now we've entered doses that are no longer healthy. Okay. So you want to keep it between 20 to 40. Are you pregnant and you want to drink cacao? Yes. Beautiful. Amazing. Just keep it under 28 grams. Little children in your home want to drink this beautiful hot chocolate? Yes, absolutely. Keep it under 20 grams a day. Yeah. Now, if you want to make something that is emotionally nourishing, this is one of my favorite recipes. And this is beautiful also for women as we go through our cycles. So you would brew an herbal infusion of choice. I like rose tea, for example. So you make the rose tea and you use that infusion to melt the cacao in it. So now you're making a flower essence mixed with the cacao. And then you add your sweetener of choice. I love maple syrup, agave, sugar cane. So you make your sweetener, add a little nutmeg, cinnamon, cloves to it, and froth it just to make it just nice and warm. So that is one of my favorite emotional recipes. Now, I know that around the holidays, people like chocolate mint. So you could make a mint tea and use that mint tea in order to melt your cacao in it. So there you have 4 different or 5 different ways of looking at cacao as a beautiful team player for your health.
Thank you so much, Erika. We're out of time, so we've got to wrap it. But I'm going to wrap it exactly with this, which is whatever you're going to do in 2022. Wouldn't it be nice to take up your own game in mastering your life? And part of this is really diving into the intelligence of the body. So take the time to do one thing for yourself that you learned out of this podcast, and then let us know how it went for you. Come to masteryourlife.ca, leave us a note. You can connect with Erika there. If you want to buy some wonderful cacao from reputable producers, then come to masteryourlife.ca and look for Erika's page on the shop channel. We love you all. Thank you, Erika, for being such an amazing guest.
Thank you, sweet friend. I love being part of your ecosystem. I love being a little flashlight into people's lives, and hopefully you're learning fun tips and things that are quite practical for your own well-being.
Beautiful. Love yourselves, love each other, mind your minds. That's all for us. Bye for now.
Thank you for being a part of our program today. Master Your Life is a presentation of Leaha Mattinson Enterprises, Inc. Join us next time on Master Your Life, helping you to discover the very best of you.